I didn't need anybody to tell me what I should do because it felt like more abuse. But to have people just present and ready for if and when I made that leap, to know that they would be there at any point to support me in doing that, that meant the world.
Hi, welcome back to Prey vs. Predator. We're happy that you can join us. Today, we are going to discuss being in a relationship with a friend, a fellow prey that is possibly in relationship with the predator, but they aren't aware of it. They don't know it. So firstly, let us look at who are predators. And the simple answer is that they can be anyone. Mothers, fathers, siblings, partners, aunts, uncles, coworkers, anyone. The trouble is, it's not so simple to see a predator when you are in relationship with one. So, what if you're an observer, the friend who sees the predator for who they are, but unfortunately the person in relationship cannot see them for the predator that they are? What do you do as a friend of a prey? How can you help? So we're going to look at the delicate dance. I know we don't always love that term, but the dance of being a friend of a prey who are in relationship with the predator. Do you guys, PJ and Jill, have such a friend, past or present, that struggled with the predator in their lives? PJ, Jill?
Well, each other.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Anybody besides yourself, or maybe, I guess, mutually understanding that? Like, Jill, you saw PJ for her relationship.
Mm-hmm. PJ, you go first.
Well, I think I have seen a number of individuals who have predatory relationships, and I think probably going through my own was the first time I was able to put words and see it as a different entity. Because I think if I could have seen other people's relationships in these terms, I might have seen my own much more quickly. Mm-hmm. So up until I went through sort of to the breaking point with my own, where no rock was left unturned for trying to do what was what anybody would do, or everything I could do with any material I found that would be helpful. I tried, and to keep coming up with big fat zeros and only making things worse and worse and worse. That's what kind of, and with some therapists as well, who started giving me different labels like abuse and narcissism and borderline. Those were great things. But yeah, I couldn't have ever seen them before that. I
think that's generally true. I think for someone like myself as well, being doing my own work, I guess we've used that term before, in the situation with my parent, made me have insights into a friend who was in relationship when things started crumbling. I could see it because I could relate. So what are the signs? So if you have a friend and you see that they're in relationship with a predator, do you think there are signs that can be seen? I know I have some ideas, but how about you two?
Yeah, I think, well, one actually, Amber, that you mentioned just when we were prepping for today's secrecy, or I would maybe call it hiding.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that it's often we put this pressure on ourselves to think that we have to display our family life or our personal life as being quite tidy and attractive, and it almost seems embarrassing. And I remember when my own relationship with my predator was ending, I remember PJ saying to me that I had to come out of hiding. Like it's time to stop pretending that things are okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever make excuses for your predator too?
Oh, definitely, because my predator I thought was always right, and I was always wrong.
Yeah, so that always is a good signal or sign. You know, if your friend is always like saying, "This person in my life who's a predator is always right," well, ding, 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 something's going on.
Exactly.
How about you? What do you think, PJ, as far as secrecy or not? Or you said hiding.
I mean, I think a lot of people in my circumstance, a lot of people have said to me, I think they're hurt or upset or frustrated that I didn't tell them what was going on or they didn't know what was going on. And I always feel a little hurt when they say that because it feels like as if I knew what was going on and didn't tell them. But I think for me, it was like, I did not know what was going on. Mm-hmm. So how could I tell you?
So that's a good point, because I think as a friend, you're watching going, oh, this is obvious.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah, to you.
Yes, from the outside, it's obvious.
But because you have this inundation of the predator just eroding your sense of trust in yourself, and you don't even know what's happening. It's very, in some instance, it's very overt. But like for my case, it was so subtle and so covert that I just kept trying to figure out how to make things better. Right?
And for me, I was embarrassed. I think I was ashamed that I could not display the type of personal relationships that I felt my friends were able to live out. And, now that I'm old, I know that everybody's messed up.
Yeah. And I would say like, there was no sense for me, like I didn't have any shame or like, I wasn't like trying to make things look better than they were, because I think if anybody knew me, I would say, oh, I'm reading this book or I'm looking at this thing or I'm working on.
But you're also a therapist, so it made sense.
Right. But I'd be like, I'm working on. I do think though, Jill, when you say that, there was a sense of shame for me around, I think there was a sense of shame around my predator would always say how much I had changed and how sort of disgusting I was physically to him.
Oh, my.
And so I do think that because I got triggered by that shame, there probably was that sense of like, well, he's right. So how do I argue with something that's right? I am, because my own sense of self at that time was, well, I am kind of disgusting. Like I am not what he married. And so he's right. Like of course he's disappointed. Of course, and I'm not, the world's best X, Y, and Z, right? And so no wonder he's disappointed. So there wasn't this kind of like I'm trying to hide anything. It was just kind of like, well, there was a sense of it made sense to me. And I didn't have any language for the other behaviors. And because he was so like evil genius around flipping them around to be my fault, I literally was always confused.
Well, I think, confusion is a big symptom of when you're in relationship, I think, with the predator. I think they use that to the nth degree. But as a friend watching it, there is this idea of hiding or shame. But also, I said to Jill, the idea of making excuses for your predator, maybe rather than making excuses, you understood your predator, the truth. The really devious truth.
What she perceived was.
Yeah, like, of course, there's a smidgen of truth that I have gained weight. You can't, it's a true fact. So therefore, of course, their conclusion is completely wrong. The truth is I've gained some weight, but the truth isn't that I'm disgusting. But,
But who would I be to say that person's not disgusted by it? Right. Like that's where I was coming from.
This is your gift. And this is your gift to be able to see. And I remember I think it was somebody else that you dated. And I remember, but we won't go into that relationship. But I remember there was something that they did. And you said to me, well, you don't understand how he was raised or something. And I remember going, I remember this is years ago. And this shows your ability to have empathy for his situation. Now, at that time, I didn't have any empathy. He was being a jerk. And so I was like, I didn't understand it. Whereas you have that ability. And I think a lot of our listeners, and maybe you, Jill, can go, yeah, I'm like that too. Why is that person behaving such a way? I have that sort of empathy. And I didn't at the time. So I was like, well, he's just being a dick. Oh, anyways. But it's good because everybody is different, right? Everybody is different. And you guys have different strengths. And I think that is a beautiful strength that he probably used for his own good.
Certainly weaponized it.
He weaponized it, exactly.
Absolutely.
I know for myself, as a person who observed a relationship, I don't know if I want to say it's PJ's relationship, noticing it from afar, was that I noticed I peddled as the friend to be liked by my friend's predatory relationship person. So when I was around this predator, I would peddle in my own way because I knew that he didn't like that many people. So I really wanted him to like me. I don't know if you guys can speak into that idea of peddling from an outside perspective.
Yeah, my predator didn't like very many people either.
How about your friends? Did he like your friends?
He would often say that he only had 3 friends. But I had lots and lots of friends. And I sort of characterized it by, I could see that he did not have the skills necessary to have friendships. And so he would sort of sit in judgment of those around him who wanted to be his friend and sort of explain away why he could not possibly be friends with this person. And I didn't understand because I always had tons of friends around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't know.
interesting.
Would your predator, PJ, do that? Like explain why he could not possibly be friends with others around?
Yeah, I think one thing that you can look at, like when your friend's in a relationship with a predator, you don't know what information your friend is getting from the predator. So I know that a lot of my predators, like family members and some of the people in our friendship circle, were thrown under the bus and profoundly lied about. So, but I didn't know. I had zero idea that I was being lied to by the predator about these people. So whenever there was a conflict with somebody or there would be some painful situation where he had caused harm to somebody or somebody just was distancing themselves from him, I inevitably now, and I only understand this in many years of hindsight, he would see that the person was not liking him or was offended by him or was hurt by him, and I would get this inundation of lies about that other person. So when there was distance between them, I would think that this person had done terrible things to my predator. So I would think, and the predator would frame it as if he had distanced himself from them. So, and I think twofold. One, the predator is trying to cause friction between you and your friends, but they're also oftentimes trying to present themselves as victims to you so that you are defensive of them. And so that if they do kind of burn bridges, that you don't believe it's your predator.
Right.
You believe it's the other person. That person's a real jerk. And so I was told lies about their political beliefs and their religious beliefs and things that they had said and things they had done, things they'd said about me. It was unbelievable what I believed because I had zero ability to believe that my person was lying. It would never have occurred to me. So when you see your friend in a relationship with a predator, you can kind of assume, especially if you feel like the predator doesn't like you, that somehow you're a threat to the predator and that you may very well be lied about.
Yeah, and I think that comes into the peddling for me in the relationship with PJ and the ex person. I would hear the stories that he said about people. And then I think this is what's so kind of insidious, but also seductive, because I'm hearing these like other people and how awful they are, but I'm not on that list because he's telling me about these people.
So you feel special.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
You feel special in that moment. And there's a sense of priming me to not do those things, to not be that type of person who maybe believes in the wrong thing or says the wrong thing or doesn't bring the best type of wine to the dinner party or doesn't come empty-handed to a dinner party.
Oh, yeah.
All the things that would be said about these people not being good friends because they came to this dinner party with the wrong type of wine.
Well, and it would be they came without wine. They came with the wrong type of wine. They came with only one bottle of wine.
Yeah.
They came with 4 bottles of wine. Like it wouldn't matter. As soon as you get to as soon as you meet the bar changes.
Yeah.
And so it's always this kind of sense of disgust of like, oh, I can't believe they brought wine, but no appy.
Yeah, and exactly. So I would peddle, like, make sure that I brought the right stuff. And then there would be this idea of a little bit of a seductive, like, I'm a good friend. I got it.
I know what you need.
Yeah, I'm a good friend. I'm a good friend. I even had those run-ins with your ex-predator before years ago. And there was situations where they said stuff to me that was quite aggressive and quite angry and blamed me for certain things. So that put me in a position of maybe, and because of, I was primed for it. I was a child of a predator. So I was used to being blamed for things. So I was looking at myself, which is something that we've talked about. How have I caused this situation with my friend? I've got to get along because they're in relationship and I really love my friend. So I have to love this person as well. So it's be prepared as a friend watching from a distance. If you can look at your own actions going, am I peddling to get this person to like me? Am I trying to get them to like me? Can I not be myself just as I am?
Yeah.
Is that dangerous to the predator? So what can we do as friends from the outside looking in? Is there anything that can be done if you can put yourself out of your past relationships and kind of look back what could have been done?
I remember once PJ and I we wrote a book together a decade ago. And there was one day that I was sitting in her house and she just started advocating for me. She's like, well, didn't you think about this? Didn't you think about this? Don't you think that you're worthy of this? And I was not used to, and she was advocating about me to me. So it's not, yeah. And I was so unused to hearing anyone speak about my worth to me. I think that's one thing that I would encourage all friends to do is to remind their friend of their worth.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know I felt I had no power. I felt I had no worth because I was always told that I was not, I was not this, I was not this, I was not this. So, yeah. Remind your friend of their worth.
I love that happened.
Yeah, and it was from you. And I don't even know if you remember. We were talking about stocks.
Her favorite topic.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think for me, I go back to helping your friend have a language and staying in a space of being curious and in wonder. Because I think the second that you come across, I know I had therapists kind of go really quickly into this is abuse and you need to do this and you need to get out and you need to, have a boundary and you need to protect yourself and your children. and it was too much too soon. And I didn't have they had a language. That's lovely. I didn't have it. So I think if you're listening to this podcast and you got this far, unless you just started with this one, you're going to have learned a lot of language from, and if you read books or different sources of learning, if you can stay curious with your friend and say, I notice that when so-and-so comes home, I wonder if you feel nervous because I notice you get up and start cleaning really quickly as if you're frightened. And I'm wondering if you're feeling scared in your relationship, or I wonder if there's fear, or, have you heard of this thing called eggshell walking? When you're always frightened, I wonder if it's possible that this could be due to some abuse behaviors. And if you stay in that kind of curious space and wonder with them, it's much safer for them, because then they can wonder, is it eggshell walking? What is eggshell walking? Or like, hey, I just saw this, documentary on, The Maid, or I guess that's a movie, not a documentary, but let's watch it together.
It deals with a similar situation,
because it deals with emotional abuse. So I think helping them have a language and staying in that space where if you're seeing behaviors in them or in their partner which look like emotional abuse, or even if you hear the way that they're being spoken to, just asking that question like, hey, I wonder if you hear the tone and what happens inside you when your partner speaks in that tone, because I can't help but wonder if that would cause a lot of fear and pain. Or, that sounds like withdrawal of affection. And there's probably not much that could do to you to hurt you more than do that. Why do you think that she does that to you? Or why do you think he does that to you? What do you think is the end goal? Do you think that there is any intentionality in that? Like, I think those types of questions can go a long way.
Often as friends, we want to make our friend's situation better. Why don't you just leave him or her?
Yeah.
We've addressed that in other podcasts, but it's that idea of it. It's just simple. They need to do this. Well, I don't think you can make anybody see something they can't see until you start what you just said, PJ, is asking the questions, being curious. And what you said, Jill, is so powerful, empowering them, building them up again, because they won't be probably very strong if they've been in this kind of intense relationship with the predator.
They are, but they're not.
They are, exactly.
They're strong for others. They're not strong for themselves.
Who they are is strong, but they've probably been kicked around a bit.
Right.
So they haven't been on their own 2 feet and realized their own abilities. So I would say my suggestion would be to listen. I know, PJ, you did have a lot of talking to do when things started coming out, and a lot of talking, and I listened. And listening, even if it's the same stories over and over, I think can be powerful, because for whatever reason they're processing, and you need to give them that space to process with somebody there.
And can I add to that, Amber? Because
please.
I think you didn't just listen. You also listened and helped give language too. Because sometimes I would be even confused myself why something was so painful. And then you would maybe connect it with something else that had happened, or something else that I said, or something else that you connected to with your own predator. And I had that experience with Jill a number of times as well. And so I think listening is, and like you say, I owe everybody a lot of hours of listening because I could even feel in myself almost a frantic or like a frenetic kind of rapid fire, had to tell this story, and then that story led to this story, and I was definitely in trauma mode.
I think that's from the hiding too, what we talked about before. If you're in a hiding space, when it does come out, it gushes.
Well, I think, and again, I just react to the word hiding, because
whatever,
for me,
it's unknown.
But I think somebody all of a sudden started to put words to the things that I hadn't ever made any of these connections. So it's like having a million light bulb aha moments go off in your head at one time, and you're just kind of like vomiting them out of your mouth, and then there was this, and now that's a gaslight, and then that, and then no wonder I did this, and then and just being able to kind of process things. I mean, even to this day, so many years later, there's still this ability to think back and go, wow, that's what that was. Oh my goodness. Like maybe I'll meet somebody and I'll find out, oh, this person lied about this person in order to do that. And I didn't know that before. People will tell you stories that they never wanted to share with you.
Yeah. Well, that happened with us.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was after everything started. And then I'm like, well, this was years ago when we were all kind of getting to know each other. This happened,
That's one more thing I think that's really important is I think it's important not to protect the predator.
And I was doing that because I felt like I had to protect you, your relationship, because I do think there is something kind about if somebody says an off-color remark about a friend, you don't run to that friend and like, do you know what Susie said about you? She thinks that I don't do that because I feel like it's not my business to do that. But in these situations with predators, I did protect the predator.
Well, I think one of the gifts you can give somebody is when you see that they're making these connections, and as their friend and as a friend of these individuals, I think being able to look back and say, like one of the best gifts I got out of everybody, out of everything, was people would come to me and say, "This is what he's saying about you. This is what I heard. This is the narrative that I have." Because the other thing you don't know as the friend is you don't realize the games the predator is playing with the prey to hold them into the relationship. And so you might see the bad stuff that you can see, but they might have really nice things that they're doing behind the scenes. They might have moments of love bombing. They might have moments of threatening. So that is, I think, a super important part of this is to recognize that you won't have the whole story until that person is out of the relationship, but not to protect the predator, but let the prey know what's going on.
So they can make a good decision based on all the facts.
Yes.
So looking at that, if you're a friend observing a friend in a predatory relationship and they leave, I would say that you as a listener, if this is your situation, be prepared as the friend who helped the prey leave to prepare yourself to be vilified by the predator, as they did when you were in that relationship and they would throw other people under the bus. You're now going to be the person they want to throw under the bus because you are cause of the problem as well. So be prepared for that. Be prepared to be part of the rumor mill that the predator may be stirring up about trying to defend their relationship and why it was not working. Maybe you're going to be part of the problem. Any thoughts on that from you two?
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
We can't control.
Yeah, we can't control. And, looking at the other alternative, probably maybe we have some listeners who maybe were there for a friend and could see that it was a predatory relationship, tried to help them get out of it. And then the person went back. And I'd be really curious about those stories because that's not our situation. So what happened with your friendship? Was it destroyed? Was it okay? I can't imagine that it would be easy, especially if you spoke the truth about what you saw. Can you please let us know what your stories are? We would love to hear them on Instagram or our email. Please get in touch with us. Do we have a takeaway from this? What would be our pack if you were a friend of somebody in relationship with predator?
Yeah, I think I'm going to say what I said previously. Speak truth into your friend's life. Yeah, build them up.
Yeah,
advocate for them.
I would say for myself, listen. Listen, listen, listen. Be there for them. You may not understand it, but believe them as well. I think that is a big one. I know how painful it is because some people have grown up in a situation, maybe their parents are completely great and pray-like and their partners pray-like, so they can't imagine that somebody would be so insidious and evil, dare I say. So I think listen and be empathetic and understand it and really take their side in. It's not about throwing people under the bus, but it's like really hearing where they're coming from and being there for them.
And I would say two different things in terms of, we didn't really talk too much because, but I think one is, this is not that. So this type of relationship is not one where you think of it as two people who didn't quite work out because they weren't willing to do the work. This is an abuse situation where there is an abuser and a victim. And so we don't want to do things that would re-traumatize the victim or re-victimize the victim, because there is quite a bit of that, or push the person back into a relationship with the abuser. So recognizing the difference between just a relationship gone wrong or people not having great skills or tools or being really different, and being abused and victimized. So I think the other piece is, it's not on your time, it's on the praise time. And no one could have told me when it was right for me to get out. I had to learn, I had to see, I had to have things happen repeatedly until I saw the pattern, and I didn't need anybody to tell me what I should do because it felt like more abuse. But to have people just present and ready for if and when I made that leap, to know that they would be there at any point to support me in doing that meant the world. So those are the things that I think were awesome in my own situation, but I think that they would be helpful for anybody.
I really love that, PJ, because it's about not giving up on that friendship. So even when you as a friend are frustrated because to what you see, it's quite obvious. It's quite obvious that this person is doing these things, gaslighting, love bombing, whatever. And you see the predator for who they are, and the prey are just being their beautiful prey selves and not wanting to leave a relationship that maybe there's children involved. So it is on their time. And so listen, be there, allow them to learn and grow on their own time, and just be there for them, and don't force it. Just be there for them.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
It was a beautiful episode. Thank you for being such good friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.